Joseph told his sons, what are you standing around here for? We've got a famine here. We need to go to Egypt and buy grain because everybody knows that Egypt has grain. So the brothers came to Egypt down before him to ask him to sell them some grain. So it had been 20 years since they'd seen Joseph. So if you haven't seen your sibling for 20 years, you would probably not recognize it. Also back then, the Egyptians shaved. They shaved their beards, the men shaved their beards. Where the Israelites, they let their facial hair grow. So that's probably another reason why they didn't recognize him, being clean shaven, 20 years older. And when they came, Genesis 42, Joseph saw his brothers and he recognized them, but he treated them as if they were a stranger to them and spoke roughly to them. He said, "Where do you come from?" And they replied, "From the land of Canaan to buy food." Then Joseph remembered his dreams. Okay, so the dreams that the brothers had laughed at, that they would bow down, the older would bow down to the younger. Well, here it was coming to pass right here, after 20 years. So even if God gives us a promise, we've got to latch onto it and hold on to it because we don't know God's timing. I mean, if Joseph hadn't been sold into slavery, he would have never gone down to Egypt. He would have never been put into prison. He would have never interpreted Pharaoh's dream. He would never have built the barns to put away the years of plenty. He would never have been able to save all these lives that had happened to him. So there was a progression that he had to go through to make this promise come to pass. And here it was coming to pass. But if the first hadn't happened, the last wouldn't have happened. So he talked rough to them and asked about their family, and he accused them of being spies, which would make a lot of sense. I mean, you have Egypt that has all the food. You might be concerned about people coming and spying on them to come take it away. But he wasn't concerned about that. He would just wanted to see where their heart was, where their attitudes had changed or not. Joseph accused them of being spies, and they said, "No, we have a father back home, and our youngest brother is back home, and we have come to buy grain. That's all we're here for." But he again accused them, and he said, "I don't believe you. So unless you bring this younger brother to show me that you're not lying, then I'm going to lock you all up." And he threw them all in prison for 3 days. Then after 3 days, he let them out, and he goes, "Okay, so I'm going to keep one of you, and the rest of you are going to go home and bring the younger brother back to release the brother I'm keeping from jail, from prison." So then the brothers were discussing this among themselves, and they're going, they obviously had guilty consciences, all of them. And they said to themselves, "We are truly guilty about our brother, for whom we saw the distress and anguish in his soul, and when he begged us not to, and we would not hear. So this distress and difficulty has come upon us." So they're saying, okay, what we did to Joseph many years ago is now coming back to haunt us. This is coming back to be laid at our feet. This is what happens from not doing good, basically, is what they're saying. Reuben answered them, "Did I not tell you, do not sin against the boy?" And you would not hear him. "Therefore, behold, his blood is required of us." So they thought he was dead. But they did not know that Joseph understood them, for he spoke to them only through an interpreter. So they didn't. They thought Joseph was an Egyptian. And so they were just talking among themselves in Hebrew, and he heard what they were saying. And he turned away from them and wept. And when he returned to them, he talked to them and took from them Simeon and bound him before their eyes. They paid the money, and they've got their sacks of grain, which was probably corn at this time, And as they were getting ready to leave, Joseph had his people put their money that they paid for the coin, to put that money back in their sacks of grain, so that they actually didn't pay anything for the grain. And the reason for that was this money was from Jacob back in Israel. Jacob, being Joseph's father, he couldn't take money from his own father, basically. So he took the money and put it back in their sacks so that they would take that back home with them. The first night they stopped, they had to feed their animals. So one of the brothers opened his sack and to take out some grain to feed the donkeys or camels or whatever they're using. And there was the money. That disturbed them a great deal. If they had deceptive hearts, then they would have hid the money. They would have taken it and just hid the money. If they had lying hearts, they would make up some kind of story. If they were proud, if they were proud hearts, they would say, "Oh, well, we deserve this, so that's right. We're going to take this back because we deserve it." So they went back and reported all this to Jacob, and they said, we went there and he accused us of spying, and we told him, "No, we're not spies. Our dad sent us, and our younger brother's at home." And Jacob was really upset about this because he was going, "Well, why would you tell them about your younger brother now that he wants to see your younger brother?" And at that time, they emptied all the sacks of grain, and then they found all the money. It's just not one brother who got his money back, but they all did. And now they're really confused. Now they're really worried. Jacob said to them, "You have bereaved me. Joseph is not, and Simeon is not. And you would take Benjamin from me? All these things are against you."